Hey, it's the podcast guy.
Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United at the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this.
But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United from the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast in association with Lucky Star Gym. If you're a regular listener, welcome back as always. And if you're new, we're going to ramble about whatever we like today because no one's going to listen to this one. Thank you for everyone for listening. And I'm your host, Mike. And with me today, we have got Mark after a few techie full starts this season and a little while just now, but we got there. We love hearing from you. Join the conversation. Give us all your ats and likes and retweets, all the rest of it. You know, I love it, especially those little thumbs up. But Mark, how are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Obviously, football's not been great yesterday, but like most of us, you know, I've got other things in my life that you can turn to if the football's not going too well, as it has been for, or hasn't been for most of this season. So yeah, I'm okay.
Good. I mean, you said you were struggling to think of a good thing from yesterday, but surely
I have thought of something. Oh,
good. Because I was going to say, surely the match being over early is
yeah.
stuff to do. So a bit of club news. Ladies team won in the FA Cup first qualifying round Burgess Hill 9-0. So that's extremely good. I think that means they're in the first round. There was only one other real bit of club news of note this week. I don't know if anyone picked up on it, but Steve has left. I just wanted to kind of touch on this because I haven't done a whole big episode because he hasn't been with us that long. But for me, I want to thank him and wish him well. I know he didn't have his lots of fans, and I know people found him quite divisive and whatnot, but personally he's always treated me very, very well in all the interviews I've ever done with him, the press conferences, and he's given me various bits of advice as well, and he's always been approachable. So for me, I really am gutted it didn't work out for him, and he is a great guy, and he really, really wanted to do well for us. There were a couple funny comments. I mean, I saw some people saying he led us to relegation. I was like, well, that's not fair. I mean, yes, we did get relegated while he was technically in charge, but he almost got us out of it. The season ticket payments, again, people don't believe he put the money into it, which he did, because I was told he was... people had said to him, no, we'll pay it. And he said, no, I want to pay it because people don't believe me. There's things like I know he wasn't comfortable, but you meet the managers' evenings, which I know you came to a couple of those. He seemed to sort of get into it a bit more. The fans match, but ultimately, as he said in one of those, he wasn't Matt, and therefore from the start, people took against him. He got abuse, including his family, which was just proper disappointing to someone must be connected to the club because it was in the red seats. Basically, was quite rude to Leanne and Fenton, and I'm just kind of gutted that we couldn't stop that out. But best of luck to Steve, whatever he chooses to do next. Apparently, he's been an utter gentleman for this whole process. I mean, what are your thoughts on? Was it the right move? Was it too early, too late? What are your thoughts on his tenure?
I think it looked a little ruthless, but I think the board probably remembered what happened 2 seasons ago with Matt, who they probably think they allowed to stay in post for too long. I know there are different opinions on that. But I think they felt that if things drifted, we get into a position where it was very difficult to get out, and they probably concluded if there's going to be a change this season, best to make it sooner rather than later, and go whoever the new guy is. Most of the season, roughly 3/4 of the season, it'll probably be to turn things round. So I think that probably was the right call. I'm not one of those who was a great fan of Steve, but I've tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I've never questioned his commitment to the club. I think he took the job very seriously and did his best, but in the end, for reasons that are probably quite complicated and difficult to diagnose, things just didn't work out. He did reasonably well in his first 12 months or so in charge. The last 10 months or so haven't been so good. Home form's been poor. We've been leaking a lot of goals this season. And I think in that sort of situation where expectations are, I think, reasonably high, the manager or head coach, as he was dubbed, pays the price. And that's I'm afraid that's the world we're in. He recognises that he's a professional. He knows that professional managers and head coaches will get dismissed if the results aren't there. He's no fool. He accepts that, and I think that probably explains why he's dealt with this in a mature and, as you say, gentlemanly fashion. And credit to him for that.
Yeah, I mean, can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Dan in the group saying, "Well, it's a lot cheaper to change the manager than 15 to 20 players." So that's why it's always the manager that gets the can. I think it's not just that it's been ruthless. I think potentially he himself has been saying in interviews, we're trying our best. Everyone is working to our best. And it's like, well, maybe as someone, I can't remember who was, forgive whoever was, said, well, if everyone's trying their best, maybe that's not good enough. So he kind of, you were sensing it, especially if you start looking back on the interviews, you were sensing it for the last few weeks that he was getting a bit frustrated.
If you look at the 7 defeats that we've had in the league, including yesterday, obviously after we left, but all but one of those have been by a single goal margin. So most of the time we're not getting thrashed, but we're not scoring. The opposition score 1, we score 1, the opposition score 2, we score 2, the opposition score 3, and that's been happening repeatedly this season. Very frustrating for a manager.
I think I said that as well, but I think it's Bournemouth. Wasn't Bournemouth 4-2?
3-4. I think we ended up losing that one. We were 2-4 down, and then Pruti got that screamer in stoppage time.
Yeah, the one where he just rolled forward and went,
I'll have a crack from the halfway
see what happens.
Oh, it's gone in.
That's nice and casual. Do that a few more times. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. It's just literally by the odd goal here or there. In another universe, every one of those games we've come out on top, or most of those games we've come out on top. But if you count interim, we're now looking for our 5th manager in 2 years. That's a bit harsh. It's not interim, but we do have an interim. John has kind of stepped up. It's always going to be a difficult thing for the assistant or the assistant head coach. I don't know what title he's got, because obviously you're part of the previous backroom staff.
Interim head coach, I believe, is the and the Brackley program actually had that as his title on the back page. They moved pretty quickly to get that in, so credit to them for that.
But he is part of the previous coaching, and obviously, if he had any wild ideas of how to solve everything, he would have come forward with it before now. So it's always going to be difficult, and obviously even more difficult because you don't know what's going to happen with a new manager. Would they then say, well, actually, I don't want any of these people around? So it's just a really, really tricky situation for everyone. But how did you go into this game with any expectations? Were you sort of thinking we should win this? We're going to get the new manager bounce, which clearly is never a thing. And what did you think of the lineup?
I'd looked at Brackley's results. I mean, they're one of these sides that don't score many and don't concede many. They've had quite a few sort of 1-0 wins, 1-0 defeats. So I was expecting a tight game, which it was. Obviously, you hope your side win. I thought we had a reasonable chance of getting a draw out of it. But in the end, we didn't even manage that. As for the lineup, I was a bit surprised to see Nadders on the bench. In fact, when I saw that he wasn't in the starting 11, I thought, oh, is he injured? And I spotted his name among the subs. So we started just with Brandon up front. and Bhutan was playing as a wide midfielder. I think we were sort of 4-5-1 more or less for the first half, and obviously John had changed a few things. That wasn't quite a Steve lineup, so he wanted to, as it were, put his own stamp on the formation, which is creditable, and you could argue that we needed to change something anyway.
Yeah.
So you could justify that change, but it is a formation that just didn't really work. Brandon was too isolated up front. He's obviously quite small guys up against some big defenders. Brackley were defending quite deep a lot of the time, so he didn't have much space to run into. And we weren't really finding runners at all, even though we were playing down the slope, admittedly into the wind in that first half. So Brackley, a sort of solid workmanlike side. You can see why they don't score many and don't concede many. They did the basics quite well, but they weren't a particularly attractive side to watch. Very workmanlike. And we defended reasonably well in the first half, kept them out. They didn't actually offer a great deal. I think Jack made one good save quite early on in the game rather, and a couple of other more routine saves a bit later. And then their attack sort of faded a bit as the half wore on. So that was the first half. It was a bit of a non-event. I said to somebody, if anybody is watching this as a neutral on DAZN, they'll have switched off by now. It's such a dull spectacle.
I've got to say, on that, obviously I'm delighted because I got to watch it, but I then found out partway through that also a 12:30 kickoff was Everton-Liverpool, Everton, whichever way around it was.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
well, if the idea is to get more people having their eyes on non-league, you're kind of picking a really awkward kickoff. So hardly anyone's going to be watching it apart from Sutton. Apart from Sutton fans, because Brackley fans would have been there. And you've made everyone travel ridiculous time in the morning to get there. Anyway, we digress. So John had a few little changes, a few little things up his sleeve. And then one of them was making a double substitution at half time, which certainly confused the commentators. Because they couldn't work out who'd gone off, they couldn't work out who'd come on, and then suddenly they were like, about 10 minutes in, they were going, and Naderson, when did he come on? It's oh my god! But how did you sort of feel then at sort of that change up, because we switched into a more 4-4-2?
It was more like 4-4-2. Yeah, we were better in the second half. Not a huge amount better, but we were offered more goal threat. I mean, Naders was up alongside Brandon, so we had more of a threat up front. And I think Simper moved out to the right wing. I think we sacrificed a midfielder, and Junior came on for Aaron Jones. So we were more for 4-4-2 in the second half, and we said we were better. But we were still making mistakes at the back, unfortunately, and that ended up costing us. The best chance, I think, fell to Dylan, who sort of cut in from the left, and he had a very good. If he'd have been on target, I don't think the keeper would have got it, but it was hit with a lot of power, but it whistled just wide of the angle of post and bar. There was another chance where, go on.
He had a couple of chances, I think, not just necessarily in the second half, but he had a couple of chances and just couldn't quite get his sight sorted. But I mean, their goal, it was a scramble. I mean, it was a free kick, didn't get cleared properly. It kind of ping-ponged around a little bit, and then it. I mean, it wasn't a screamer. It wasn't a.
It was a free kick we should never have given away. I mean, there was no great threat at the time the foul was committed. I'm not going to name the player, but it was a bad free kick to give away. And then this has happened before. The ball comes in, we just don't deal with it. There were about 3 attempts to clear it, and we didn't get it out of our box. And then one of their players picked up the ball and smashed it into the net, and that was it. And there was an earlier incident where they almost scored. I think the ball deflected off Jack onto the bar, and we then managed to clear it. So that was a warning sign. And that was after we'd had our best spell of the game. They went down the other end and had that chance. But the goal didn't come until I think it was the 84th minute. Yeah. And after that, our heads just dropped, and we didn't really look like getting an equaliser, I'm afraid.
Yeah, there was another well, I don't want to say chance, but we nearly caused our own downfall with that back pass. Jack was nowhere near the goal. So, were you watching that with your head in your hands, thinking this is going in?
Yeah, there was a moment of worry there, but luckily it didn't lead to anything damaging.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think we had any actual shots on target, which is something that
according to the non-league paper, we had 0 shots on target.
Yeah, but we did.
They did mention, one or two efforts were sort of blocked by defenders that might have gone in without the block.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching it, and obviously I know I've got a huge bias, and I'm always looking for the most positive things I can ever find. I thought we were in it, and I thought that we've got good chances to win this. And I was when the goal went in, I was really gutted and like my head dropped. But seeing everyone else's comments, obviously you were there. Want to know what you were thinking, but other comments as well online saying it was really disappointing, and even Meany was saying it was a disappointing game. And I'm like, I don't know what I was watching, because I thought genuinely we could have had this.
I think our best chances came from set pieces. We had a few corners and 1 or 2 free kicks in the second half, and there was one that Lewis took. It was just outside their area, and there was a bit of a scramble. I think we had a couple of attempts at goal which were blocked. But we looked at that moment as if we might actually get a goal, but then our threat sort of faded somewhat. In open play, we didn't really offer a great deal. I mentioned the Dillon chance. There was another opportunity when Nadders was through, and he could have taken a shot. I think he just had the keeper to beat, but he had a defender on his heels, and he squared the ball. Yes. Unfortunately, Brandon hadn't quite kept pace with him. Yeah. He was about 6 yards behind, and the ball was cleared by a defender.
Yeah.
But I think that was confidence. I think a confident forward would have had a go, but I think confidence is quite low at the moment for obvious reasons, and I think that's affecting decision making, and it's one of the reasons that we're struggling, because the players haven't quite got the self-belief and the confidence to give it a go. They're working hard, but you haven't quite got the inspiration, you haven't got the self-belief there that a winning team has, and we need to get that self-belief back, the sort of self-belief that we would have had after the Carlisle game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're dead right. If it's confident striker firing on all cylinders, even if that chance was only a half chance, they'd still take it. And anyone moaning, they'll be like, "It's my chance. I'm going to try and take it," which is surprising a bit, because Nadders has got 2 in the last 4 games. But yeah, I know. Again, go back to the Steve thing. I spoke to a couple of different players, messaged them, and there's a lot of people being gutted. And feeling that they should have done more. But I mean, it's a familiar story, and you touched on this earlier with saying about the results, apart from one game. Hard-fought loss. It was close. We gave what we could, based on skill and confidence at the moment, and we lost to a late goal. It does seem to be a bit of a recurring theme this season. Why is it just confidence, or do you think there's something more? And how can they stop it?
Well, I wish I knew the answer to that. I mean, the defence has not been very good this season. We've been making too many defensive errors, and Steve himself acknowledged that. And I think some of the players that we've got, I'm not naming anybody, perhaps aren't quite up to the required level. They may get there, they may not. But I mean, obviously, Steve brought in Aaron Jones and Harry Phipps, who are experienced defenders at this level of football, and they seem to have made a difference at first. But even with them in the back line, we've still been conceding goals. So I think there's a bit of a lack of focus there from some of our defensive players. If we were scoring a hat for the goals, that wouldn't matter. I mean, our scoring rate's reasonable, but it's not great. And if we're only getting 1 or 2 goals a game and the opposition are getting 2s and 3s, then you're losing the games. So I think we do need to work on the defence. It may just be a case of working on things in training. It may be that we need to bring in 1 or 2 other defensive players. Defensive midfielder, I think, is probably going to be a key signing. Obviously, Alex Woodyard was brought in to fill that role. As you know, he's out injured. He's not going to be back for a few weeks. And because of his age, he's probably not going to play 90 minutes every game anyway, even when he is fit. So I think we probably need a sort of a Craig Eastman or Nicky Bailey type player who can take control of the midfield, and we haven't had anyone like that recently. That's a big miss.
What about Mo? I mean, the couple games he was in, but
I don't know. I don't know whether he's injured, but he wasn't. I think he was in the squad at all yesterday. He's not played the last few games. I mean, he's quite a small guy, but he's hyperactive. He has a lot of the ball. He's good. He's a strong runner. So I think he's certainly got something to offer.
I mean, obviously, you get coaches for different things. I mean, we've also lost our goalkeeping coach recently as well. But is there a case for getting someone in on a short-term contract to get the defence sorted? I don't know. What's George Graham doing at the moment? Could he give us a few hours? Come out of retirement for us. Just that sort of drilling and the confidence of, yes, you can do this, but sometimes make that decision to get it in row Z.
I think there were 4 of us who went for a few beers in Banbury after the game, and we were discussing this game and the situation generally. And something that came up more than once was, it's a difficult ball in your area. Just get rid of it. Don't try and play it out. Don't try a short pass to a teammate. Just hoof it upfield. And it's not very pretty or elegant, but it's what you need. You need to get the danger out of your box. And we've not been doing that enough. We've not, as has happened with the goal yesterday. We're not clearing balls very effectively a lot of the time, and that means we're bringing pressure back onto ourselves.
I mean, I think John hinted at it in his post-match, and he's talking about defending and not liking conceding goals. And he's a big fan of the Italian football, and I'm fairly sure there's Italian in him. So maybe we will start working on defensive matters. You mentioned chatting to people afterwards. Obviously, the people who go away tend to be a bit more behind the team, a bit more vocal. Did you notice any shift yesterday? Were people getting a bit irritated, or are they prepared to sort of see this change through now? Because obviously it's 10 games now, just under a quarter of the season gone.
Yeah. I didn't sense any ill will or bad feeling. I think for a lot of the fans, this is a new ground for them. Obviously, we had played Brackley in a trophy a few seasons back, but not all the fans would have got to that game. It was as a new experience for quite a few of them. But the youngsters were supporting the team. They were cheering them on as they do at home. Quite a few of them had made the games a bit of noise. There were about 120 of us there, I think.
I think 144, they said.
Okay, 140 something. Out of a crowd of 800 and something. So it's a pretty small attendance.
But yes, good 20% ish of the crowd was Sutton fans, so that's pretty good. I mean, where do we go? I know there's a process to select the new manager. Again, I know everyone hates hearing it, but money's going to come into it. You're not going to be able to go poach someone necessarily from a club without paying some sort of compensation, unless there's things in their contract. I mean, various names have been chucked around. What's your thought on who the new manager has to be or should be?
Well, I think it needs to be somebody with experience of this level of football and somebody who's a motivator. I mean, when you've got a managerial vacancy, it tends to be filled in one of 2 ways. Either, as quite often happens, the board have lined up somebody to succeed the incumbent, and then when the incumbent goes, the new guys are announced within 48 hours. That doesn't seem to be the case here. So it looks as if you're going to go through the similar process as after Matt went, where you basically invite applications. Obviously, it's time consuming. It takes a number of weeks. At least we're not doing it over Christmas as happened last time with Steve. But, there was a comment from Dave Fairbrother on And the Planet earlier today, I think it was. It said, actually, there'll be quite a few decent managers interested in this vacancy. It won't be low quality. There'll be some decent people in the field there. So, there'll be a shortlist drawn up and there'll be an interview. But I think the board, they probably wouldn't admit this themselves. And we know that certain people on the board are more influential than others now. They privately ought to be admitting that they didn't make a great appointment with Steve. At the time, we were in a hole, say facing relegation. At the time, Steve may have been the best appointment we could have made. What I was rather puzzled by as to why he was given the 2-year contract after the relegation, before a ball had even been kicked in the National League. And we talked about this at the time on the podcast. And I think giving him that 2-year contract, I gather it was quite a generous contract, was a mistake, unless there were reasons for it that I don't know about, which is possible. But it does look like that was an error of judgment on the board's part. So if that is the case, and they acknowledge that privately, that may well influence their approach to appointing the new head coach. But we should see.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things on there. I've been told that, yes, it's the same process, but it should be a lot quicker than last time because they've been through it. I know a lot of people did wonder about the 2-year contract. Personally, I kind of thought, well, maybe they feel that they've got someone that they want to keep in place. And the pedigree in the background, I mean, he has played at the top level. So maybe they were like, well, we want to have something in place because we think he's going to get poached at some point. So we possibly wanted the compensation. But take the point, and a lot of people have obviously mentioned that as well. But for you, is there any names that have stood out, or I mean, we're not going to have any influence over them, so don't.
Not really. I mean, Adam Hinchell would have occurred to me pretty much straight away. It's occurred to other people, but I've no idea whether he's in the frame or not, whether he wants the job, whether he's a sort of manager that the board wants, or whether even we could afford him or prepared to pay what he wants. So I've really no idea whether he's a serious contender. It wouldn't surprise me if we end up appointing somebody who nobody has mentioned so far.
Absolutely.
Somebody we've probably heard of, but who just hasn't occurred to anybody as being a likely new head coach. And I wouldn't be surprised if the appointment is somebody in that category. Somebody, oh yeah, him. Yeah, we've never thought of him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't surprise me if that's the kind of reaction we get.
I mean, Jared chucked out Ernie Howe.
Not sure. His wicked sense of humour. Yeah.
Not sure.
I think you mentioned Ian Hazel as well. Yeah,
he did. He did. I don't think Hayes would want it. Hayes quite happy at the moment. Right. So we've flown through this, but I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the funny.
Okay.
You told me you bought some things, so we'll do the jingle, and be back to you in a sec. So you haven't got anyone to bounce off, so no one steal your ideas. What was the good for you yesterday?
Well, I'm going to hold it up. It was the Brackley programme, which I think is one of the best I've seen in the National League. I mean, you can't see very much on here, but it's glossy. It's got quite a lot of content in it. It's well written. Plenty good use of colour, and a lot of clubs, as you know, don't do printed programs, including us. So it's always, I've been collecting programs for decades. I know some of the other fans, I know others don't bother with them, but I always like to get a program. And when you see a well-produced program like this, it does make you think a bit better of the club, and they're doing the right thing here. And it's one I'm quite happy to have in my collection. So that was the good.
I mean, it's a difficult one for me because I stopped a long time ago because when I buy the program, I tend to read it and then recycle it, and a lot of the stuff, and I know if Lyle's listening will kill me, but a lot of the stuff that was in there is also on the is out there as well. So it's the same as a lot of newspapers and stuff, because I was reading magazine, the weekly magazine. I was reading something. I was like, oh my god, this is such old news. And then I realised it's not just old news. It's just I'm getting the instant news now, so everything is a little bit behind. But I also fully get how people really like the programs and want them. I wish there was a way of balancing it up to say, right, if you want a program, we need to know, and we can make sure we've got enough print in advance or something like that. Just to make absolutely sure people can get them. But I kind of get both sides, and I have no idea which way I'd come down on that. But what was bad about yesterday?
Well, plenty of things. I think things we've already discussed, really. I think dealing with free kicks, just outside our box, we need to be better at defending them. We've already talked about this. I think that's the thing that comes to mind most readily. There were obviously other aspects of performance yesterday I could have mentioned, but I think that's the one that came to me first.
Yeah, we've got lots of big guys in there now, so we should definitely be.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. But why aren't we? Yeah.
And what was funny about the day?
Okay, you know that dear old Francis likes to be photographed with the mascot at away games. And when she got to the ground, the mascot was, I think, over the far side of the pitch and then disappeared. She said, "Oh, I'm not going to get a photograph with the mascot." And then Jenny spotted the mascot coming round and beckoned him over. And the mascot was, well, what the hell was he? He was just a bloke. And what is he? What he's supposed to do? He's not an animal, which most of the mascots are, a fox or a duck or a giraffe or something. It wasn't any of those. So, Francis got the photograph. He wandered off. And I thought, what's the nickname of the Brackley Town FC club? Oh, it's the Saints, because they play at St James Park. Yep. And I spotted this little mascot had a yellow ring on his head. A halo. So he's a saint.
Sammy the Saint.
Of course, I had to, Sammy the Saint. That's right. So I had to go over and tell Francis and Jenny, because they hadn't quite worked that out. But they did. I think acknowledge that later. So that was Sammy the Saint.
Sammy the Saint. Yeah.
The Brackley Town mascot.
Right. Excellent. So we're looking ahead. I've written the season is still young, and that's getting worse and worse every time I write it. But we've had 7 defeats, 2 draws, and a win. So that's 5 points from 10 games. We need to start rolling this up and cranking it up a little bit. Do you think anything needs to change for the next match? Do you think where should we be prepping, or is it just a case of that confidence and it will come, but when and how?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? I think we need to start off with a more attacking formation than we had at Brackley. I think you need to start with maybe 2 up front. I don't think the starting lineup, as I said earlier, at Brackley was ever going to deliver very much. I mean, our next 3 opponents, we've been saying this sort of thing for a few weeks. The next 3 opponents are not on paper particularly strong. Woking, okay, we've got to go to their place, but they didn't start the season particularly well. And then we got home games against Boston and Yeovil, who are, again, towards the bottom of the table. Obviously, they're all above us. Yeah. So you have to acknowledge that. They've started better than we have, but they haven't started particularly well. So I think we should be looking to target a minimum of 5 points from those 3 games. So Woking, I just think he's going to go on the front foot. We won there about a year ago, didn't we? A Saturday game, 2-1, I think it was. And I think we just need to be as positive as we can and just go for it.
All right. What's your score prediction?
As usual, I'm just going to go for a draw. because if you go for a draw, you're not usually left with too much egg on your face if it's if it's a win or a defeat. So I'm going to go for 2-2.
2-2. Okay. Well,
yeah, with Harry Beautyman to score for Woking.
Okay.
Course.
Well, obviously, yeah. AI. So I've started putting an AI prediction in as well. Now it's Gemini, and it's top of this prediction league so far.
Yeah.
It's gone for a 1-1 draw and Nadas to score first, or for a score for us.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to watch this one live because I bought Sally a birthday present, which was tickets to Riverdance ages ago, not thinking about Tuesday nights and certainly not thinking about the fixtures because it was ages ago. So she's chosen me to come with her, which I'm obviously going to love. And she can hear me. Oops. So I'm going to go with a classic 3-4 win, and the game going to be absolutely beautiful, wonderful, ding-dong match of football. And I'm going to pick Harry Phipps with a goal. Yeah, it's going to be exciting game of football because I won't be watching it. My phone will be binging all the time as I'm sitting there watching it. But Mark, thank you very much. We are going to wrap up this episode of Sutton Podcast. As always, we appreciate everyone's attention and feedback. Follow, like, and share this episode on social media with @Sutton Podcast. Subscribe, give us a big thumbs up. Thank you to Lucky Star Gin. Again, big thank you to yourself, Mark. And thanks to everyone for listening. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of Sutton Podcast. Take care, and we will catch you up soon. Bye-bye.
United! United!